But hey, guess what? It's time for the Gears Spring Major. We want to jump right into gameplay, so let's get through it. The pre-show. We got RushieZ versus Fury1 to kick off the day, and I'm certainly looking forward to this one. Let's talk through these rosters first and foremost. Ribs, you knew this RushieZ roster very, very well. Talk me through this squad.
Yeah, our Pro League champions here. RushieZ still looking for their first championship. There's 2 events left to do it.
Crazy.
RushieZ, it's literally now or never. You guys got to turn up. And Friday is always a day that they play strong. We're looking at RushieZ, Avexys, DeTox, INZEM. But John, I say this all the time. You can't just play good on Friday. If there's a day you want to play bad, it's probably Friday. They have to play throughout the weekend. They have to get better throughout the weekend. And they can't sleep on rosters like Fury1.
Can they finally do it? The coveted championship trophy. Meanwhile, it's Fury1. We don't got pictures for 2 of them because we got some rookies in this one, but we do have Aimboot, my favorite player in LATAM. Ryan, talk to this squad.
Yeah, this Fury1 team has been so fun to watch because they've basically been sort of the next up team in LATAM, right? They've been making a ton of upsets. Their progression has been so fun to watch. Aimboot, an incredible player. And these are one of those teams that you got to watch out for. Jordan said it, don't sleep on these guys because they've been beating teams in Pro League. They can very well make your day hard in the major as well. Very excited to see what these guys have in store. Like you said, John, a very, very young team as well, starting to kind of find their footing. And those are the storylines you love to see.
That's right. And we just need a really, really quick and important clarification. I've been saying this since the beginning. It's clearly Aimbot and not Aimboot, but these guys call it Aimboot, which is the most wild. My producers in my ear confirming it's Aimboot. That is incorrect. If you think it's Aimbot, press 1 in the chat. If it is Aimboot, press 2 in the chat. Aimboot makes no sense. Aimbot makes a lot more sense. His Twitter handle says Aimbot. I rest my case. But that Fury1, you're right, Ryan. You kind of hit the nail on the head. They've been kind of up and coming next, if you will, much like we've seen other teams throughout the history of Gears Esports and LATAM do. Ribs, do you think they have what it takes here against RushieZ?
Yeah, there's one thing I love about Fury1, and no, I don't think they could beat RushieZ, but I do love that when they play the game, it looks like they're having fun. They take all their fights with confidence. They have the technical ability to shoot with anybody. That's why they're so strong on control and respawn game types, because they take every fight with so much confidence. But they're still rough around the edges, and you could tell that there's times that they're miscommunicating or not communicating properly, and that's where teams like RushieZ capitalize. But yeah, Fury1, they do have all the potential in the world, and if they're going to prove it, they could prove it right here, right now.
Yeah, big opportunity here. Let's jump right into our map picks and bans so we can see where we're going to be playing today in the series, starting with our bans. Ryan, talk me.
We're going to start off with a Reactor Control ban coming through from Fury1, followed by Spire Control from RushieZ. We're going to see an Afira Execution, Tomb Execution, and Training Grounds being taken out of the mix as well. So nothing really sticks out to me there too much. That Reactor Control ban from Fury1 makes some sense. I know RushieZ doesn't like Spire that much. A lot of business as usual over here for me.
And meanwhile, for the picks, what are we going to be seeing, Ribs?
District Control, our first map picked by Fury1. As I said, very strong control team. Usually if they win a map, it's that very first map. And then RushieZ going to one of their best execution maps right off the bat, Canals. I believe Avexys has been the most dominant sniper, even better than players like Exploits when it comes to that specific map. And then we'll go to Vasgar Escalation. We've seen a ton throughout this split. Honestly, I give RushieZ that all day and all night. They're such a strong Escalation team, especially on Vasgar and Harbor. Going to Ritual Control, that's another map. If Fury1's going to make it to map 5, they're going to have to win maps 1 and 4. They are the best control team out of their 3 game types. They're best on control. If we get there, Clocktower Execution, that would be a very fun map to watch as a map 5.
Yeah, that's a good point. You got to win both your controls, which is obviously tough to do against a RushieZ squad, but then you got to win execution as well, which obviously RushieZ such a talented execution team, and I'm excited to see what Avexys can do with that sniper. And it's actually awesome seeing the highlights. Exploits, arguably the best sniper in the game with the scope in his hands, making plays. But hey, this is all about RushieZ versus Fury1. Let's talk through Fran's keys to victory. Do we got that smiling face of it? Yes, we do. That's freaking awesome. Look at that smile at Jose Mavo, aka Franchise, aka the GOAT. Keys to victory on the RushieZ side. Ribs, talk me through RushieZ.
Yeah, Fran brought up a great point. Maintain Friday dominance. I said it. They've been so great in pool play. That's the first step. You have to be strong on Friday, but I love that he said establish your tempo versus Fury1, and that's mainly on control, in my opinion, the game type where you rotate the most and where tempo is important. So if they could keep Fury1 kind of contained and keep Fury1 with a lot of early damage, not fighting comfortably, I think RushieZ could come away with that first map and probably a 3-0.
Meanwhile, on the flip side, Fran put together some keys to victory for Fury1. Ryan.
Yeah, these guys are going to have to come out confident, right? Confidence is going to be very, very key here. If you go up against RushieZ and you treat them like the first place team, they're going to show you why they're the first place team. So confidence is going to be a huge, huge factor here. And you want to kind of create some chaos. You want to be the one pushing the tempo, kind of that same line about the confidence, right? You want to be the one pushing the tempo. You want to be the one putting them on their heels. Because again, if you give a team like RushieZ, if you give them the control, if you let them set the pace, they're just going to run all over you. So it's going to be huge for Fury 1.
All right, well, let's roll right into predictions here. And I think I might know where both of y'all are going based on the pre-show so far. But give me map count. Do you think Fury 1 takes one? Ribs, start with you.
Yeah, I gave him a 3-1. So I give Fury 1 winning that first map and then losing the next 3. Production, goalie, shout out goalie. He said that, I mean, they've lost 3-1 all the times they lose to RushieZ, and it's because they're able to win that first map. So get some momentum, Fury 1, win that first map, maybe get an upset. Otherwise, I see them losing maps 2 through 4.
Ryan?
Yeah, so for me, I won't be surprised at all if they do win the first map, because Fury 1 a lot of times win the first map no matter who it's against, honestly, not even just RushieZ. So I can't tell you how many times we've seen them go against the United, PK, and we look at the scoreline and it's 1-0 Fury 1. So I won't be surprised, but it is the major. RushieZ has been looking very strong. I am going to give RushieZ the benefit and give them the 3-0. I think they're just a higher caliber team. I think they're going to come up ready. Obviously, they want to win this event really bad, so I think RushieZ comes out swinging. I'm going to give them 3-0.
Like to hear it. And obviously, we know RushieZ always performs pretty darn well on Fridays. We've seen them do some miraculous things. We've seen them actually be arguably the best team in our majors on Fridays. So I think RushieZ does show up. I think they win 3-0 as well. I'm hoping for at least a map. I would love to see this go to Game 5, though. I love me some Clocktower execution for one. So I'm excited for this matchup. I think RushieZ does take it 3-0. I am hoping that Fury 1 can put up a little bit of fight here. And if they're going to put up a fight, I know we had franchises perspectives, but hey, we got 2 more guys that know a thing or two about Gears. We got none other than Reflections and Toby Campbell, a.k.a. Toby Keith, a.k.a. the British sensation, joining us live on broadcast. Gentlemen, how are we doing? And what are your thoughts about this upcoming matchup? Taylor, starting with you.
First, I mean, I got to start off with the British sensation. How am I going to follow that up? Toby's a good-looking guy. The beard is outdoing me. But no, the series is going to be great. I'm excited for this one. Look, production even agreeing. My goodness, I can't catch a freaking break. Toby, I guess, how are you doing, man? You excited for the series? Because no one wants to hear from me.
Hey, I'm super excited, man, and I can't wait to hear from you all weekend as well, of course, casting with you, Taylor, for the entirety. Man, I'm hyped. I'm super excited. Of course, we had the sad news of it only being 2 events left for Gears Esports at this current time, but hey, we got to look forward to what is ahead of us, and there is a lot to look forward to, especially after a very competitive Pro League split.
That's right. But Toby, I got to tell you something. I'm mad at you. You're a traitor. You left us on the analyst desk. You went back to the casting side, the dark side, and I am livid that I don't get to do things with my OG duo. But no, much love to both of y'all. Obviously, we're going to miss Blaze this weekend. My man Toby is one of the best casters that we got in Gears. Glad to have you back casting again. We can hear that beautiful, beautiful British voice or English accent of yours. I'm going to throw it over to y'all, though. Good luck and enjoy the match, guys.
Jeez, Toby, welcome back. You're getting all the gas, baby. I got to say, though, honestly, on a personal level, I'm excited to be here with you. I missed you as a casting partner, as a casting duo when you joined the analyst desk, although you were very valuable there. I'm glad you switched sides. I'm glad you traded over, man, because I'm happy to be here with you, brother. But it's going to be a great day. I mean, Spring Major is finally here.
Yeah, absolutely. And we were discussing this last night, right? It's been a very, very competitive split. On terms of the casting analysis, I love both. But it's really, really good to be casting with you again, Taylor, because we've had such a fantastic time whenever we've casted together. Of course, big boots to fill, if you will. Of course, Guy Blaze. I certainly ain't no Guy Blaze, but hopefully I can somewhat, deliver a performance is at least comparable to his.
I think you're perfect. I really do. And the English accent, for at least Americans, it makes you look even smarter. At least to me, okay? You could say something totally outrageous, like Jacob is the tallest guy in the world. And I would believe you, even though I've seen Jacob. All right, let's get into it. We got RushieZ and Fury 1. I'm excited for this one personally. Last time they faced off against each other was actually Emergence Days, but I guess we'll focus more in on Pro League, at least to start off, Toby. I know you like to do your map analysis, and you like to, kind of dig deep into really their last and previous series. And if I'm not mistaken, the last time they played in Pro League, it ended 3-1 with RushieZ taking a victory.
Yeah, day number 7. So kind of somewhat later on, of course, in the Pro League. So it's fairly recent, I guess, in terms of also their E-Day performance. So, both teams kind of know what is ahead of them, right, between these two teams. It's clear, right, that there is a favorite here. I mean, I'm not surprised that all of the awesome intelligent analysts actually went with the 3-0. I think we'd probably agree with that assessment between you and I, too. It's just because RushieZ has been doing so well this split. And, it's cliche to say, of course, they did finish first. But they truly have been a little bit more consistent, right? They haven't had their past split evidence and really big example of Canals kind of not carrying them through, but, giving them a huge advantage in every season. They've only played it once, Taylor, this split. So they have fundamentally changed as a team, at least in that sense, even if it is other teams, say, banning that map. They've been a little bit more flexible. They've experimented more with their maps, their strategies. Meanwhile, when you look to the other side with Fury 1, something we also talked about yesterday is perhaps they've still been that kind of same old. They're similar to how they were last split in terms of how they're playing, their results, in terms of the numbers. It seems to be very same old. Strategically, nothing much has changed. I'm hoping this is the time they can turn this around, though. RushieZ typically play very well on a Friday, but hey, can Fury 1 start off their campaign well? That's what we'll be looking out for.
It's an important match because their group is highly competitive. You even, think Defiance, right, being here. So for Fury 1, beating RushieZ could almost solidify their spot. And I say almost because it's not a guarantee, but it would definitely give them a huge leap forward to making it to the champ bracket, which obviously is something I'm sure they definitely want to do. But you're right. Fury 1 is kind of, in a way, stagnated. They've been at a great baseline, I would say. They've truly been a great team. But they've struggled to be an amazing team. And I think that really boils down to not having a veteran leader guiding them and teaching them. You look at Abuelos y sus Nietos, right? They've got great leadership for the young guns of Solar and Xavi. And that has truly brought those two players, at least elevated those two players to a great level to where they're highly competitive, top 5, right? That's amazing for a roster like that, especially because, they're relatively new. They formed just before the Pro League qualifier and ended up making it into the Pro League. But Fury 1, again, is a roster that mechanically, they're some of the best, but so is RushieZ. And then at the end of the day, when you kind of nullify that out, it comes down to, the big thinking cap, the brain, and RushieZ has Avexys, right? They've got a very intelligent IGL, an intelligent leader who can guide the troops. You've got RushieZ, who isn't scared to be by himself, isn't scared to wait in the shadows and take you by surprise and dismantle your push before you even get started. So again, mechanically, I think this is going to be relatively even. But in terms of knowledge and being able to adjust on the fly, RushieZ, they've got that in the bag.
Yeah, I think that's safe to say. That's for sure. And the thing for me as well with Fury 1, on that sentiment, if you will, of perhaps not developing those extra abilities and not having that guidance that a lot of these newer players in other teams do have now, is the fact that they started off so strong with so much promise. I think I'm getting deja vu now thinking back. It was me and you who casted over, I believe, the relegation tournament for them to get into Pro League originally, right? We were commenting, right? Oh, they have so many, their fundamentals are on point. Of course, mechanically, they were there. The terms of their responses to a lot of proactive strategies and tactics employed by some of their competition, their responses were excellent. They were smart players, mature, very understanding of where each other are. The chemistry was there. But they haven't really evolved since then. And they haven't got that spark that you see in players like Xavi and Solar and where their team, of course, has gone, as you've commented on already. And now you kind of left thinking, yeah, they're really good. And I'm still impressed. I'm very happy with the consistency to really solidify themselves as a Pro League team. But they need to get to the next level now. And we've seen the potential, which makes it heartbreaking when you don't see them achieve what they can truly get.
Well, it's one thing to go from challengers to Pro League, and it's an even bigger step to go from Pro League to a major. And RushieZ, they have that veteranship, and they have the experience competing at the top level. When it comes down to Fury 1, however, they've been here, sure, but are they going to be ready to be at that caliber? You mentioned RushieZ. They always play well on Friday, and I agree with you, Toby, they do. District, last time they faced off against each other here, it was 300 to 218. It was relatively close. Ventry, he definitely had some standout stats. Toxiq was leading in the damage category. But for RushieZ, though, they did still beat them there. Canals map 2, we'll get to that very shortly. But let's start off here. RushieZ getting the first down. DeTox will follow through. Last move, putting up a heck of a fight. Avexys is gone. And that's 3 out of the way, brother. INZEM is stuck in green, and you got Fury 1 getting the early points.
Love it. That's exactly what you need if you're Fury 1, of course. And, we were just talking about it. Mechanically, they are sound. They are very, very good at playing gears on an individual level. They have that raw skill. If they can start off strong, at least capitalizing on that, then they have the foundation from which they can really build upon to take down the Titans of RushieZ.
All right, nice shot from DeTox. Doubles back for the second. Last move is gone. That was nice, controlled, and even killed. Well done from his perspective. INZEM's going to pick up the drop. RushieZ is getting pressed. He's down. And INZEM's going to go ahead and backpack and hold on to the drop. Maybe use it for the next kill that's going to be coming into play. RushieZ recovers quite well off the initial. You'd love to see it if you're a RushieZ fan, but Fury One's back on the attack.
They do. Meanwhile, INZEM, I think he still has that drop shot on his back. Rightfully so, recovering, getting to the safety of his teammates. You don't need to use a drop shot when there's only 15 seconds left on the hill, and you have your teammates around you, Taylor, of course. And so if he can rotate that round, ready for the next setup on the next hill, then RushieZ will be in a very good position. And speaking of position, Taylor, despite losing that initial at the start, they have already regained the score lead.
Definitely have. Well done from RushieZ's perspective, and they've got the high side on the next hill. We talked about INZEM securing that drop shot early on. He now has it in his hands. Active is in play. Most likely going to send it flying relatively soon. Maybe the potential first victim is going to be Aimbot, but, you know, if he does have an inkling that Ventry is going to be just over to the left, maybe he wants to get him out of that corner, but I think player 3 of Avexys has that locked down. Aimboot making an aggressive push. INZEM sees it coming, backs away, preserves the drop shot, and once again, it's back in his hands.
Just trying to get the active for the time being. It is there. The spot is through, and that will be a guaranteed kill. Well played from RushieZ, and of course, INZEM. That will kickstart their push. Last, though, very good back A onto INZEM. Perhaps slowing things down for a moment. Meanwhile, Aimboot. What a fantastic shot over the top that was. Meanwhile, DeTox coming straight off spawn, trying to find a 1B against Toxiq. Would be huge if he can find it, just to keep some kind of position for RushieZ on this end of the map. He does get the down, stretching out the players a little bit toward bandstand.
Oh, nice shot from Ventry. Securing green like that allows you to be able to Lancer out, specifically now on INZEM. He can maybe focus his attention on RushieZ, who is just a bit down low, but Ventry already down. Aimbot back for revenge. Goes in for the finish on Avexys before he can get the pickup. Unfortunately, baits himself, and Avexys will get the chunk there. Despite all that action, however, Toby, Fury One does still lead the charge. Now, one of the things about F1 that I've noticed in Control is they start off explosive, as we saw off the first hill, right? Eliminating 3 members of RushieZ, starting off with the nice point lead, as they do have now. It's more so when they get towards the tail end of the matches, when they get towards the tail end of the Control map, where they start to taper off. This energy from Fury One is great, but can they keep it up?
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of keeping up, of course, RushieZ were able to get the second drop shot despite what was chaos around the center of the map during that rotation. So shout out to RushieZ. You know, they're remaining composed. We saw Avexys earlier save his teammate after what was admittedly a mistake from Aimboot running towards the kill. But here is that drop shot we spoke of. First shot, or rather the shot towards the one player is going to get the kill. I thought there might have been a double in for him, but no, will not come through. DeTox full red, having to reset for a second. They do have the numbers advantage, though. If they can keep their distance, yep, they should be able to close that one out, and they will regain the score lead once more. And this is a very good hill to set up on. Of course, Taylor, they've got a good 40 seconds left on this one. And the rotation to the next hill will start to have to be planned out, actually, by both teams, because I think Fury could have a very difficult time, actually, trying to approach this one.
On the stat line just a little bit earlier, Avexys leading the charge and damage done for the lobby, 7K. I also noticed, I believe, INZEM and DeTox with only 1 death, so they're getting maximum value from their life. We're now pushing through. Fury One is going to get stopped, though, right before they get penetration. Last move will get a chunk, but is it going to be enough? Slowly but surely, Fury One decides to push through. They are making some headway. INZEM's on the run, but not for long. Ventry will take him down. That's an impressive retake from my perspective. Unfortunately, it's only for 10 seconds.
Yeah, the mechanical skill was there, Taylor, but the timing perhaps was a little bit off. What I want to focus on now, and what I think Fury One should be focusing on, is that rotation. They've got those kills. They kind of, staggered the spawns of RushieZ at the very least. They need to turn that now into productive points, into actual score. You can see RushieZ even taking the time to cap up the few remaining points, because he knows RushieZ can't actually get that setup for the next hill, right? They can't actually get there first, but can they actually plan this attack onto the hill? In fact, Avexys trying to do exactly that. The drop shot was picked up, meanwhile, by INZEM. That's 3 in a row for RushieZ now. Can they actually translate that into a really good break here?
Ooh, drop shot out. INZEM will get an easy connection onto Aimboot. Still some loose ends they have to tie up. That's going to be Toxiq now, kind of doubling back through mid. Puts himself between a rock and a hard place. He gets dropped. Fury One making these exciting plays, Toby. They're getting kills where it matters most. Unfortunately, they're doing it pretty much as individuals, except, or at least instead of a collective unit. And that's a bit concerning because RushieZ, I pride them on their teamwork, and I have throughout all of Split 3. Fury 1, if they continue to make these disconjointed pushes, they're not going to find success.
Oh, that was lovely from RushieZ. Wow, a second as well. Can he get the third? Yes, he can. The first clip of the major from RushieZ. That was excellent from him. And honestly, Taylor, I was literally about to speak about the fact that RushieZ haven't really done anything special yet, right? They're just playing by the book. They're getting all the power weapons. They're setting up slowly. They're approaching slowly. Nothing really has come out from them that you'd think, wow, that is an incredible championship winning team. No, they're just playing gears. And they've been doing so well in terms of their teamwork and their consistency around that, but nothing too flashy. They've still got their cards held close to the chest. Meanwhile, Fury 1, you nailed it. Need to start working a bit better as a team. Then RushieZ can't take advantage of such simple mistakes and perhaps lack of chemistry, arguably.
But of course, as I'm talking about, I mean, pure caster form, I'm talking about disconjointed pushes. I see Fury 1 send 3 members to the one of RushieZ, and RushieZ kills them all. So it's like, now what can Fury 1 really do? But I love your point about RushieZ not doing anything flashy. They're going back to the ABCs. Honestly, I'm fine with that. You know, you don't have to be the star-studded player. You don't have to be the guy like RushieZ earlier picking up 3 pieces constantly. Those are great every once in a while, but they're hard to sustain. So go back to your ABCs, play good gears, and honestly, you might win a championship. Great retake for Fury 1. This hill has enough points for them to tie it up.
Yeah, got to start with the basics. RushieZ seem to be doing that well. Meanwhile, Fury need to come into their own. Meanwhile, though, they have got a little bit of a setup towards that next drop shot, so let's see if that can actually help them get it. Yes, it can. Finally, Fury will get access to that drop, but it is short-lived. Toxiq will be dropped as INZEM chases him through green. Last has been having some really good shotgun moments, but sadly, that was not one of them. INZEM holding a shot to close out that kill, and only 20 seconds remaining on that hill as they look towards the next.
Still highly competitive, though. Kind of akin to what we witnessed, I think you said day 7 between these two rosters, where obviously it was 3-1. District was the final map played in the series that RushieZ ended up winning 300 to 222. But this might even be more competitive than that final match. And that's great news for Fury 1 fans. It seems that their composure is truly here, and they've got their head in the right headspace. Last move doubling back. You got DeTox INZEM down there. Probably stay here, keep the hill contested.
Yeah, I think that's the goal for both teams for the time being. Drop shot is not in play as it was earlier. Shot grenade again being thrown out by RushieZ. Shout out to them, of course. They've been utilizing that quite well already. That's the second one they've thrown to block off a hill, at least temporarily. That's gaining them a little bit of points. Meanwhile, RushieZ, he was playing awesome earlier with a shotgun, and now he is also doing more for his team with that weapon as he gets another kill down towards the cinema. Meanwhile, look at this. Fury got a little bit of actually a pinch here on all these players. Look at this. Last throwing himself in there. Toxiq with the kill as well. Ventry should be able to clean up RushieZ without too much issue, and if they can snowball this into a kill on DeTox to block out that spawn, that would have been great. Sadly, no. RushieZ will get that short spawn in front. Fury 1 will have to force their way back to the safety of the very back of this hill, giving up that staircase. RushieZ can keep that contested for now.
You know, something we didn't talk about at the beginning, Toby, we did off broadcast, but not on broadcast, how important this first map is for Fury 1 to win. You know, check out Escalation. Fury 1's definitely going to have to win one of those if they want a chance to win the series, but starting off map 1 with a victory can give them the peace of mind, kind of like it did in their first series on day 7 during Pro League. So I got to say for Fury 1, they're on the right track. This map could very well go their way, but it also could go to the way of RushieZ. It really depends on how the chips are going to end up falling. 10 seconds remaining on the current kill. We're now fighting for really the scrap time at this point, but also obviously for real estate on the next. We're going back to P1. RushieZ is already ready to go, and he's got drop shot in hand.
Yeah, he does. And sadly, I don't think playing that numbers game is the right move for Fury 1 there. They were right back of the spawn for INZEM. Meanwhile, RushieZ a drop shot on Cinema. What is this? I'm so confused. Ventry has somehow been able to snag a kill on RushieZ as he was trying to escape. He had so much time, Taylor, to get away, so I'm really unsure as to how RushieZ was in a position to even allow that, but nevertheless, that will open the door wide open, and yeah, I'm shocked too. Fury 1 are going to walk straight through. I'm pretty sure Aimboot is executing INZEM as well to the left of the screen there as well. I think he was, and perhaps he is also surprised as to how Fury 1 were able to gain access. And not only that, Taylor, they've also got the score lead, kind of flashbacks to the start of the round, if you will.
Wow. So we got Aimboot potentially executing a player. First off, don't poke the bear. RushieZ is a team you do not want to get them emotional. You don't want to get them saying, hey, we're not losing this, because they could be scary. But Aimboot, he is going to pay for his sins, and he is going to die, and RushieZ will take over the hill. Bit of a mistake, like you said, from RushieZ. That shock was beautifully placed as well from Fury One's perspective, and they did such a good job retaking. They're back on the hunt once again. DeTox, though, in conjunction with his teammate, will pick up the 2 that push through from Fury One. Last one remain. That's going to be last move, and well, with his last move, he is going to get a kill onto Avexys. He might challenge DeTox relatively soon.
Yeah, honestly, Fury Last has been impressing me so far, Taylor, with the shotgun. He's got kills, double kills, where you really feel as though he shouldn't be able to, especially against a team like the caliber of RushieZ. Well played from him so far. Ventry, Secret Man, he'll find RushieZ again. Meanwhile, the next hill is upon us, but it's quite a ways away from RushieZ. From Fury One, but that is because they're going for the next drop, and they will get the quick pick as well. No Lancer down will come through. He is full red, though, just about getting down by INZEM. Meanwhile, DeTox will be looking for that cleanup. Meanwhile, as well, Last will be coming to his rescue as well. DeTox flying through. Lovely slide as well. Pretty much at the end of that cover slide distance. He will find that kill, get the trade. Ventry again with the sneaky kill, this time from the flank. A little bit of an angle as well onto Avexys. Yeah, rock and a hard place. He'll get one. Can he stay alive? He has the numbers. Yes, he can. Well played from Ventry, and they should be able to clean up the remaining players. And this will be, again, Fury One maintaining their score lead, and they will have control of this hill.
Love watching Ventry play, Toby. I mean, he's impressed me so incredibly much throughout Split 3. That was a great example as to why. Good, cool, calm, and collected in that engagement. I mean, catches Avexys off initial. Ventry looking to make another move. He can't this time around. And just to go back as well to Toxiq, he nearly made a perfect push. If he just would have got that kill before the finish of the drop shot player, I mean, it literally would have been to perfection. But either way for Fury One, I mean, they are not worried about the miss of the drop, and they've got a pretty decent lead. And I say decent now, if it was at the beginning, 30 points, whatever. But being so close to 300 now, Toby, Fury One could very well win map 1 very shortly.
As it stands right now, Taylor, as well as a 4v3 on the map, they can utilize that, right, to throw themselves across and keep leveraging those numbers and try and go for a better position. It would be certainly advantageous, but INZEM actually spawned just behind and will split up the players a little bit. Of Fury spotted Toxiq across the way too. Ventry, meanwhile, though, is close at hand. A potential 2v1, maybe even 3-1. Yeah. Fury are all turning round. They all want INZEM's blood here at Bandstand. So they're giving a little bit of time away for RushieZ, but it will give them that ticket, that numbers advantage of 4v3 to go in for the next. But Taylor, do they go for it, or do they wait for that drop up in 5?
Ooh, it's a tricky decision, isn't it? I mean, I think right now for 5 and 6, Aimboot as well as last move, they're going to go for it. DeTox overextended. It is going to pay off. He'll pick up 1. RushieZ now has a chance to put a couple into the blender himself, and he will do it. Last move can double back, or Toxiq, excuse me, and he will get the drop shot. It's kind of his only play. Pushing forward, it's not an option. You've got too many people there. But Ventry, being as sneaky as he is, comes through and gets a couple of ticks. That puts Fury One up 252 to 237. It's not going to keep RushieZ away from getting the lead, but it at least puts them back, gets them away from the middle position, and allows Fury One maybe to take a bit of a different approach to break this hill this time around.
3v4, but drop shot in hand. It is thrown in, and it will find Avexys. Well played. The chain revives are starting to come through for Fury One as well, as both teams now are over the 250 mark. Toxiq, though, is going to be pinned back, and the spawn, as the Lancers have been so good for RushieZ for the past 60 seconds. It's all going to be down to this Bandstand hill. Oh, it's going to be a tough one for both teams.
Tough indeed. This is where Fury One needs to really elevate their game. They played so well up until this point, Toby, but as well as you play, if you don't get the W, what was it all for? So for Fury One, can they lock it in on this final hill? You have to really appreciate RushieZ and how they're set up, despite them only having 3 members to the 4 of Fury One. Fury One, attack this. Nice shot. That's going to drop DeTox. But why isn't anybody capitalizing off of this? Why aren't they pushing in to capitalize off the shock? They finally do, and it seems as if, despite them being a bit lackadaisical about that push, it does eventually pay off. Now they have the real estate they were looking for, the real estate they fought for, but RushieZ are back on the attack.
Oh, this is a good counter from RushieZ. They've got kills from nowhere. Meanwhile, Aimboot gets 2 downs. RushieZ left to his own devices inside the Bandstand. Not going to mean much, though, when Fury just come on through without any issue at all. 45 seconds now. DeTox stuck in a corner. He will be staggered. Also, Surely now Fury One have the advantage in winning this one. Avexys will be dropped as well. Fury One continue to find kills and stagger Rise. Can they take this map?
I think they might be able to. Enough points anyways, right? 30 seconds still remain. They're less than 15 points away from victory. Big kill for Aimboot. He needs to lock in this right side. He will successfully do so, despite the pressure from INZEM. Now he can focus on the players in mid. Avexys, though, might have just opened up a bit of a door, but RushieZ, they have to sprint forward. Now 299 and 300. They hop out in just the last and final seconds. Fury One, Toby, will take a 1-0 lead over RushieZ.
Absolutely stunning from them. And, you know, we mentioned it, right? They were trying so hard from start to finish with Fury 1. And mechanically, they were there. They were getting lots of kills. The points were fairly close from start to finish. And despite RushieZ's efforts, look at the scoreboard at the end there, Taylor. The last 100 points, right? Fury 1 were getting the most kills. They were able to cling on to kills when it seemed like they were simply not possible to get. They were getting double kills. Everyone was starting to come in their own. Of course, Ventry was doing really well in green and blue.
Oh, yeah.
Despite the lack of access to drop shots throughout the start and perhaps midpoint of that map, they outslayed RushieZ in the end. So for me, honestly, Fury 1 absolutely deserved that first map.
100%. I mean, it makes it interesting, too. I think a lot of players, and well, not players, but viewers, maybe myself included, you know, a 3-0 wouldn't have been out of the question. RushieZ have been on fire. They're first place in Pro League standings. They're the #1 seed heading into this event. So if they 3-0 Fury 1, it's like, okay. But no, I mean, Fury 1, they take the victory, which is impressive to me, Toby, because of the fact that, look, they lost at 300 to 220, 215 last time they played in Pro League. So already some lessons learned. We talked about Fury 1 being, you know, a bit stagnant, but clearly here is a proof that they're improving, and I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. And there was obviously questions as to whether they would be showing up on Major Day, right? And it seemed like they are certainly all there. Lots of drop shot players we see in the highlights from RushieZ. It was really a big talking point at the start, and RushieZ were doing well. Look at this clip from RushieZ, though. You have to highlight it. It was absolutely insane. And also the composure to avoid that up A from Aimboot, keep his distance, and get that third. Very nice to see. Meanwhile, though, Fury 1, just like that kill onto RushieZ, was getting kills really opportune moments, difficult situations where you wouldn't expect kills to come through, but yet again, you see Fury 1 doing it time and time again, just like last as well, has been doing super well in that shotgun department. Ventry pulling off clips of his own. And I think it goes to show as we see the last few kills of this map, Taylor, is that RushieZ, yeah, your teamwork was there. The textbook nature of their gameplay was certainly present here to start off the major, but you know, towards the end, perhaps a little bit more composure, perhaps, you know, not allowing all these kills, all these shotgun plays to come through for Fury 1. Sure. That is going to be the focus point for them going forward, and they need to kind of rail that in just a little bit, reel it in, excuse me, and make sure that they can bring it to Canals execution. And we know how important that map is with the Nasher gameplay.
Oh, man. Well, Nasher, but snipers as well. And this is where now Avexys could truly shine. There was a point, I think it was during an Emergence days, and Avexys stated in chat, no one, and I mean nobody in Pro League, nobody in Gears 5 is going to be able to outsnipe me, outplay me on Canals. And that has been a statement that he's lived by, and he has done so well with Toby. But Aimboot put him in his place a bit during Emergence days. It was like week 3 or week 4, so there's a chance he could do that. But RushieZ and Fury 1-on-1 match. We have several other series taking place at the moment, and I'm proud to say that we actually have quite a bit of streams going down, and you have a chance to watch all of them. I think, at this point, 3 or 4 different matches, including this one. And here's all the links if you want to watch them. Obviously, RushieZ Fury 1, twitch.tv/Xbox. That's where you currently are. But we got Rebel Kosade Papel on twitch.tv/UMG Gaming. UMG Charlie has Defiance and MC. And then, of course, on the other side, Pittsburgh Knights, Tappy Yukis on UMG Delta. Love that the UMG team put this together. They put in a lot of work. Trust me, Toby, they put in a lot of work to make this happen. So if you are a fan of any of these other matches, hey, you're not going to miss out. There's your links. Go check them out. Toby, you'd love to see it.
Absolutely, and shout out to you guys at UMG. I'm just blown away each and every time when I come back for a major. I am just blown away by the level of production quality, especially given the the logistical issues with being remote and all that. To see just continual improvements on things that I didn't think could be improved is just it really is. So it has to be highlighted. So yeah, awesome. Shout out to you guys at UMG, and yeah, I can't wait to get into this next map in particular in terms of RushieZ versus Fury 1. Something we actually forgot to mention in terms of that first map, Taylor, and perhaps I'm to blame for this in terms of when we mentioned the Pro League point, is the fact that Fury 1 did win the first map the last time they played in Pro League, of course. They won Regency. It was 300 to 278, a very similar scoreline, actually, to what we saw in District. And it's kind of like a more... the way I framed it, of course, is perhaps a bit more pessimistic view. It's kind of like a must-win, actually, for Fury 1, because then they went on to lose the rest of the series. Control is definitely their best game mode, arguably, Fury 1. Yeah. But it's also a very good mode for RushieZ. And so it really ups the ante even more so that Fury 1, they have to take not only a control, but perhaps both controls if they are to take the whole series.
Yeah, it's well said, Toby. Sending it to a map 5 would be scary from the perspective of, obviously, in this case, Fury 1. I think RushieZ would be just fine. They tend to play better, it seems, when their back is against the wall. So if this does go to a map 5, I think RushieZ is going to play even better. But you're 100% correct. Fury 1, they're a great control team, but so is RushieZ. So if this does go to a map 4 with RushieZ, which it will, but if RushieZ goes to that map 4 with a 2-1 lead, there's a real chance RushieZ can win this series like they did in Pro League. So it makes this Canals execution, the Vasgar escalation, that much more important from Fury 1's perspective. The only Canals is great. I think Canals actually could be very close. It was on Emergence days. As good as RushieZ is there, Aimboot genuinely stepped it up, and he performed so well, despite Avexys, to his credit, saying, he gave a couple of freebies. Maybe he wasn't playing, up to par or really with all his might. And I'll give him, I have to trust his word on that. He has a little bit of fun sometimes on E-Days. But Vasgar, though, that was messy. That wasn't even close. It was a 5-0 victory from RushieZ's perspective, and Vasgar is once again map number 3. And it makes sense, with the veteranship of RushieZ, with all 4 of them having as much chemistry as they do, plus them just knowing Escalation as a whole, Toby. They're just such a good team there. And they have been a consistent and fantastic team on Harbor. They've been a consistent and fantastic team on Vasgar. I do not see Fury 1 being a competitor on that map 3. So that makes this map number 2 that much more important for Fury 1 for the longevity of the series for them.
Hugely so. And I think a general trend actually to point out is the fact that Escalation does tend to favor the more experienced teams. They might be, off balance a little bit, or more balance in the prediction side as to, against a really new team full of raw skill. That's kind of their leg up oftentimes, where you have that aggression, that chaotic nature, the fast gameplay kind of coming into its own more in execution and, of course, control. So it kind of is going that way. But it's also an opportunity for the newer teams to really take advantage of. If you can dial your practice in on Escalation and really have a really good map pool, I think it's safe to say as well, given it's just 3 maps and it's been a very consistent 3 maps for a long time, you can set yourself up for a very good performance against a lot of these more experienced teams. And I don't think any team really personifies that more than RushieZ. Historically, since the dawn of time, of course, franchise previously being on this team and different variations of this team, if you will, over several Gears titles, right? So yeah, it is a very important thing to say. But to bring it back to Canals map number 2, it's going to be an interesting one. You've been mentioning Avexys loads. I know the important storyline for me back in the last major was how good RushieZ was on Canals, but it seems like they've played it less, but they've maintained a lot of that performance. And now Avexys has kind of come into his own with that snipe.
100%. And again, he's a self-proclaimed best sniper, which, that's a bold claim, right? You got Powers, who's nasty. Sleeper is nasty in his own right. And Exploits, of course, right? He's like kind of the poster child for power weapons as far as I'm concerned from that Rebel roster. Used to be Noble and Fire and Ice. So you've got a lot of talented snipers, but Avexys and that confidence, it's here, 100%. Love what I'm seeing, and I really like the fact that Fury 1 did, win map number 1. I think that's great for, again, this series in general, but can they win map 2? The possibility's there, 100%. But really, and I hate to just boil it down to this, ladies and gentlemen. I really do. It sounds like a broken record, but it genuinely comes down, at least here, to Aimboot overperforming with the sniper, because that's how they beat RushieZ on E-Days. But let's get it started, man. It's map number 1, Avexys, and what? Ventry picking up the sniper? Ooh. Why are we making an audible when you were successful in the last time you played them? Let's see if it works. It is working. It's working really well.
It's working. 4v1 already. Avexys left to his own. Let's see if he can use that sniping ability to clutch up.
Enemy marked.
I don't know. 1v4, Toby?
Okay, just blind fire them. That would be really cool to see. But
what?
35
I'm not smart.
seconds. 35 seconds. Taylor, this is my first thoughts, right, as we try and digest what we've just seen play out. 0 kills first for RushieZ, of course, has to be mentioned, because it was that quick of a sweep across the bridge. And usually when you see drastic strat changes like that, especially in Canals, you tend to think of just leave snipe altogether, right? You tend to think, speed and aggression through the middle bridge, but they did that just with 3 players. So it really goes to show that Fury 1 just blew us away in terms of their performance there. Let's see if they can recreate that, though. Nice little stun from Toxiq. He'll get out stunned first against DeTox, and he will get that kill thanks to a down from Ventry with a snipe. Body check coming in from Avexys onto Toxiq. Meanwhile, we still had action play out onto the high side. 3v2, 2v2. INZEM with the double. And now we see things perhaps slow down just a little bit with both snipers still in play.
I like the push, though. Aimboot not allowing Avexys to set up, but Avexys doesn't care about the pressure. He'll handle his business. Ventry has no idea both players are in front of him. You can tell by the way he was checking. It should be very apparent now. They're closing the gap very quickly. Ventry pulls out the Nasher. He's gone, done, and dusted. Maybe distancing himself could have been the best play, but I don't know. You also had Avexys with the sniper. 2 very, very fast rounds. 35 seconds, 50 seconds, and we got a tied ball game here. Again, I go back to Ventry sniping. It's working, but I wonder why they switched it up after so much success during Emergence days. But it is allowing them to get super aggressive on bridge, and quite honestly, Toby finds success there, so I'm here for it.
Yeah, I'm here for it too. You know, experimentation of strat seems to be another trend of this new split. Seems to be playing out right here. Toxiq stun onto DeTox. Oh, he didn't stun. Unfortunately, it did not come through. DeTox, as a result, will clean up that kill. 4v3. Ventry back on the snipe, or continuing to be on the snipe. Meanwhile, Torpo picked up from last. Aimboot, meanwhile, trying to close the gap and close down those numbers. A good opportunity to do so. Avexys has right hand, damage advantage as well. Aimboot tries to close the gap, but not happening. Now 4v2, Ventry, another one be presenting itself. He really needs to try and grab that.
Run hard. He really, oh no! I think he misjudged the timing on that push on INZEM. And now it's going to be a 1v4, and Avexys is ready to aim up the head, and there it is. He is warm and ready to go. That's 2 in a row for RushieZ. They are finally getting their legs underneath them. Now it's up to Fury 1 to respond back. And it seems as if they are now starting to fall short on that mid-bridge push. You know, it seems like RushieZ is definitely timing it more appropriately, and they're hitting the shots that they need to. I like the audible to go for the Torpo. It didn't work. So it seems like Fury 1, they're starting to grasp at straws now instead of going back to what worked for them off of round 1.
Yeah, I think that will be the trend now going forward potentially, but I don't want to see it. I do want to see perhaps a little bit of a change up from Fury 1, rather than rely on that one stun. Toxiq loses that 1v against DeTox once again. That translates into a kill onto Aimboot. Ventry has to be very careful here. He's going to be chased down. 4v1, immediately drop as last is left on his own. And surely the round will be over indeed. Will. Yeah, interesting canal so far, Taylor. 3 rounds in a row now for RushieZ to really respond after what was a very strong start from Fury 1. But I will go back to that point, right, of you kind of relying a little bit too hard now on Toxiq to win that 1v and to rely on his stun against DeTox, right? I kind of want to see a change of strat to change that into more, less about reactivity and try and just relying on a 1v, and more being about proactive and trying to find those numbers advantage through strategy rather than relying on a 1v against what are some of the best players in the game.
That's so well said. I think Fury 1, when you define them, it's based off of reacting instead of being proactive. But RushieZ, they're not scared to make the first move. They're not scared to make an adjustment. Bit of a scrappy fight in mid-bridge this time around. We will have a trade, it seems, for both rosters. Ventry needs this shot. He's going to whiff it, unfortunately. Splits the dividend between 2. Nice body on the RushieZ. Maybe last can capitalize, but the only player he can see is INZEM, so that's not going to go very far. Meanwhile, Avexys bending his will onto Ventry. Now a 1v3. And it's not all on Ventry. Well, on this round it is. I mean, he missed a lot of shots, Toby, where if he were to connect on a body or maybe on a headshot a little bit earlier on, that mid-bridge fight could have definitely swayed towards Fury 1 with how competitive it was. Both teams trading out, you know, first blood to the first to the other. But, I mean, with RushieZ, they collapsed. They did that well. I need to see Ventry hit those shots. Like, I really do.
And I'm not sure if you caught that as well, Taylor, but there was a little bit of a mid-round transition from RushieZ as they left high side. 2 players leaving that 1v on his own, pretty much, to run past and 2v1 the guy in middle. And that's an example of proactivity from RushieZ as they continue to change things up and adapt and be that strategic team. Fury One really were just at the whims of that. Toxiq with the first kill onto DeTox. Perhaps things can change here. Yep. INZEM getting the down on last. 4v3 advantage of Fury One. Where can they take this?
Right, that first blood is big. First blood is big, but the second one followed up by RushieZ was nice. It's not going to be enough now. Avexys hits his own body shot, gets his own chip damage. Now wants to finish on the Ventry, he'll get it, but can he get the others? Nice shots, tons of damage. But Fury One, they will keep RushieZ off of map point, and they will stay alive a little bit longer in round 6 after winning. So that's now 4-2. RushieZ still leading the way, but you can tell how dependent they are, Toby, off of that first stun and that first blood from Toxiq.
Yeah, it is business as usual, honestly, from Fury One, whether it works or not. Just relying on Toxiq at the front line. You can see in his KD, right, 5-4, that it's not really a good strategy to guarantee round wins. But as we speak of the devil, things have changed up dramatically. Toxiq is going high side for the first time. In fact, they only have one player, Fury One, on low side. This is a huge change and a very unorthodox strat. Can they get the pinch on DeTox? Do they even need it? 2v1. Last will come up. Very well executed regardless as the kills do come through. 3v3 though. RushieZ are responding. And now we see the 2v2 become a 2v1. Look where Avexys is now, Taylor. He immediately rotated to middle. He had the audible. The communication was clear from RushieZ. Things have changed. Get over here now. And there he is. The result, 2v1 at the end.
And to compare Ventry and Avexys, you bring up a great point. Avexys isn't scared to rotate with the sniper. You know, too often on Canals, when that sniper player picks up snipe, they stay on the back bridge. They just stay here. They don't move until it's time to move. Like in this case, Ventry, I mean, he's just got to try and reposition, and he's got to get an angle on Avexys or RushieZ. But Avexys isn't scared to join his teammates, and if he has to pull out the Nasher, he's perfectly fine with doing so. He doesn't just base all of his gameplay simply on the sniper. So Ventry's more tunnel vision, where the Avexys is more envisionary in the way that he goes about it. It's kind of like what you said, reactionary versus being proactive. RushieZ, they are proactive, where Fury One are definitely reactionary. So this is going to be a tough spot. Toby, how does Ventry go about this?
Well, I think he's not given enough credit, honestly, to these RushieZ players. They're not poking their heads up for a reason. They're just sapping the time. Ventry could have made this push, honestly, like 10, 20 seconds earlier, knowing that RushieZ are not going to move. They're just going to play the hill. Ventry now is not got many options, really, to get across or do anything. He's going to have to force ahead out. He has to get a play for this hill. But saying that, he is perhaps just playing right on the hill himself. Nade down. He will be looking for the cap. 2 seconds of the clock to try and force a nice 1v for him. But no, RushieZ can simply just roll down to the low side of the middle bridge and get the split, rather the pinch, very nicely indeed. And yeah, that's the difficult part of Execution 2.0, of course. Reflections is literally that timed nature that RushieZ really leveraged there.
Big lead, 5-2. Opportunity to tie up the series is here, 1-1. Talked about, RushieZ and Fury One and kind of what works for F1, and that obviously is control. Execution seems to be very heavily one-sided towards the side of RushieZ in the moment. Potentially be seeing the final round. Stuns are going to be out. Toxiq forced to back away. DeTox closing the gap. It is going to be a trade. And it is going to be a 3v2. The head's blown off. Avexys finally catches Ventry off. Says, you're not just going to, hang out in the back. And now Aimboot by himself. He's bot walking. He's trying to be sneaky. And he has been sneaky. Hits the shot on RushieZ. That's one. But unfortunately, he's going to be sent to the ground. 6-2 victory. RushieZ will tie up the series 1-1. Forcing Fury One to fight extra hard on Vasgar Escalation. The series is far but over with, right? We still have a map 4 100% guaranteed. But will we see a map 5? That's really where, I want to see if that's going to go. By the way, Avexys, 11-2, standout performance. RushieZ fans, I know you love to see that. Vasgar Escalation, map 3 coming up after this. Who's going to take the 2-1 lead? We'll find out after the break. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Gears Spring Major. All tied up 1-1, RushieZ, Fury One. What a performance from RushieZ that was, Toby. It seemed as if Fury 1, electrifying start off of round 1, 35 seconds, incredibly quick. But they based their whole strategy off of getting the first blood on mid-bridge. If they didn't get that, well, then they quickly lost after that, where it seems like RushieZ wasn't scared to make adjustments on the fly. They weren't scared to send Avexys into the fight instead of having him turtle up with the sniper. Fury 1 simply got outclassed on Canals' execution.
And honestly, it's a similar storyline strategically for me, Taylor, as map number 1, because we were talking about the fact that Fury 1 mechanically are there, and perhaps they won map 1 because mechanically they are so good in Gears 5. But then on Canals, yeah, they literally put all their marbles into that 1v, the ability to take down DeTox on that middle bridge. And yes, they did change up eventually, right? Which, fair play to them. Very well done with the too high, Toxiq ran through there. But sadly, it was perhaps a little bit too late. They continued too long to throw themselves into the gauntlet against RushieZ on that middle bridge. Meanwhile, RushieZ were just playing, back to the textbook of teamwork and whatnot, remaining flexible, right? Respond as soon as you can, kind of read ahead, as Avexys clearly did one round as he rotated the snipe to middle bridge. And on Avexys, actually, in fact, given his KD, you have to mention it, it wasn't actually the snipe that he got the majority of the kills from, remember? It was him rotating and getting the shotgun kills. And again, it's more evidence of this fact that RushieZ, teamwork-wise, they are just a little bit better perhaps than Fury 1. And Fury 1 need to elevate themselves just a little bit more in that department rather than relying on the mechanical skill.
I think they're a lot better. And when you think about execution, you think about escalation, there's a lot of factors that are kind of unique, but there's also factors that are similar. And again, reactionary versus being proactive. When you think about escalation, the team that is proactive tends to be the most victorious. Fury 1's going to be great off the initial. They've shown that they can traditionally be great. I mean, Control, you see them how electrifying they started off of District. Even in their Pro League matchup, Regency was map 1. They started off very strong off of the Rose Garden him. P1. I guarantee you Fury 1's going to have good starts, but are they going to be able to have good finishes and good longevity? I don't think so. I think that's where RushieZ is going to be able to see what Fury 1 is doing and react accordingly. RushieZ is just a better team in terms of teamwork. Mechanically, it's very even. We've seen that, but teamwork-wise, I don't see Vasgar going very well for Fury 1. They've already lost 5-0. They played in E-Days. I don't remember what map that was, but I know they lost it because I think it went to a map 4 and it was the same result. So Fury 1, it seems like Control, sure, they got it. But do they have escalation execution? No, they don't. And really, their only way to extend the series is going to come down to map 4. I don't see them winning Vasgar in any way, shape, or form. And I hate to be that critical, but that's just the way that I see it.
Yeah, but I think it's honest, Taylor, and I would totally agree with that assessment on each of those maps. Sadly for me, as I look back to the Pro League match that they had previously, where of course RushieZ did win 3-1, map number 2, 6-0 on Clocktower, is a fairly similar scoreline, right, to 6-2 that we saw on Canals. Have things really changed, or is it just a complete repeat of Pro League where Fury 1 win by around 20 points, map number 1, and then continue to lose the rest of the series? I don't see them winning this escalation. I would not be surprised if we even see a 5-0 as we saw on Vasgar in that Pro League match. But again, I think something we like to talk about in particular as casters, Taylor, is the fact that the power weapon placement escalation remains to be an opportunity that needs to be taken advantage of a little bit more. Yes, generally as a trend, we've seen more experimentation in escalation power weapon placement from teams this split. But we need to see it now more than ever with Fury 1. Right. They have the individual confidence and the mechanical skill to carry out the strategies that you might employ and really get a little bit more flexible, and you are capable of actually pulling them off at a baseline level. But have you practiced them a little bit, and are you prepared enough to actually take it to a team like RushieZ and start early with the power weapon placements, and start early with the strat changes, rather than what we saw in Canals, where it's a little bit too late of a response for me with Toxiq going high side?
Yeah, start at round 2. That's how early I think would be the way to start it. Playing tit for tat isn't going to be the way to go about it. And I'm trying to remember, and I get flashbacks a little bit, but I don't know if they're accurate about Fury 1 and RushieZ and when they played on Vasgar. And I want to say they didn't make an adjustment. I don't think F1 placed a power weapon down at all. They kind of just, upgraded their side weapons alongside that of RushieZ. And before you know it, they're 3-0 down, and we're thinking a sniper is going to go down. It doesn't. And then round 4, then round 5, and it's just nothing changed. Nothing changed at all. So for Fury 1, I agree, Toby. You know, place a power weapon because that's where they're going to be strongest. Again, they pride themselves off of, you know, fast-paced rounds, fast-paced aggression. And, well, I mean, what says that better than placing a sniper on tank? You know, just full send it, get the sniper. But more importantly, sniper aside, just focus the fight in one centralized area as opposed to spreading yourselves out and you know, trying to focus on the team fights. But also, too, individually, who's going to be the 1v1 players? Well, RushieZ obviously is going to be, you know, holding it down on the 1v spots. Man's a menace. I mean, he's tough to deal with, Toby. He's difficult for anybody to 1v1. Who on Fury 1 is willing to step up and try and challenge him? Is it going to be Ventry? I don't know.
Yeah, that's the question, and it's one I'm sure that will be answered very soon. I like your point, especially Taylor, on in terms of focusing the fights. We know RushieZ are strategically a very, very good team, very advanced, and they do like to be more proactive, perhaps than any other team historically, in terms of a long-term basis, with the strategies on every game mode, and in particular Escalation. Perhaps you might argue at certain periods of Gears Esports. And with that said, if you can limit their strategy, their ability to strategize by literally placing huge power weapons that can't be ignored, that's also another advantage that goes the way of Fury 1 to force their mechanical skill onto RushieZ. Let's see if it actually employs something similar to that now.
Wow, 3v3 fight up top. I mean, never mind over on the other side. A lot being committed. It's scrappy, but honestly, Fury 1 likes this. This is where they feel comfortable, but comfortable or not, RushieZ wins in great fashion. And now they can go ahead and overextend to C, get that locked in place. Player 2, INZEM, he's going to go ahead and challenge Ventry, potentially, but backs away. And, you know, RushieZ is a team that is, you know, can be comfortable playing the long game. And in this case, they're going to exemplify that. They're going to flex that a bit. And they're going to wait for Fury 1 to make that move. If they make another mistake or if they lose another critical team fight, then RushieZ will push up and get the domination. But Toby, they're not in a rush to get there.
No, certainly not. And you might look at the top left of the screen and think, yeah, the scorelines are fairly level for now, but RushieZ have, historically, when they have played it slow, it seems to be their gameplay that they're known for, right? And they can take as long as they need. Meanwhile, they also have that ability to push on hard and aggressively, and they've done exactly that to stagger the numbers, if nothing else. Meanwhile, though, Ventry playing his hand just a little bit over towards the A side of the map, along with Last, and it's forced RushieZ to turn all the way back around now to deal with that threat.
A double down. Avexys will capitalize by picking up 2 for themselves. He also has a player going up towards A, so Fury 1 will recover their home hill in conjunction with Toxiq and Aimboot, but a lot of work still to be done. You mentioned how the scores were evenly, you know, or very close in nature, but obviously RushieZ just really controlling the map as a whole. Aimboot, Toxiq trying to bully their way through unknowingly in a 3v2, make that now a 2v1. INZEM by himself. Aimboot and his teammate making some great headway forward. And for the first time in a long time, we will see Fury 1 having a 2-1 hill advantage.
Ooh, look at this from Toxiq. He's trying to pick up that kill before the rest of the RushieZ players do spawn up. Not going to find it, though. He will be downed. Aimboot returning fire, but sadly, INZEM will read that play fairly accurately there, just to the side as he jumps into that cover looking for the up A. RushieZ, meanwhile, has gone over towards the C hill. Triple cap will start coming in. 3 seconds to go. Aimboot is not close enough. I do speak too soon, but nonetheless, they are just a little bit too late, Taylor, to have really any impact on the outcome of this round.
I like that they're fighting, though, to the very end. Well done. It's not going to amount to much, but it at least shows their fighting spirit. RushieZ, they take round number 1 in a pretty convincing fashion. You know, very rarely did we see Fury 1 take hill control. I think they only did it once, and but for the majority, it was all obviously RushieZ in that moment. Not a good start for Ventry and Toxiq. 0 kills, a handful of deaths, but only 1 assist, not a lot of damage. So definitely round 1 did not go very well. For RushieZ, what are they doing well, though, in the team fights? You know, they're scrappy, without question. But RushieZ is also finding every opportunity to get team damage, and that kind of goes back to what we talk about their teamwork and how good that has been throughout Split 3. Fury 1, as opposed to, you know, choosing to fire for themselves and, you know, get that chip damage, they're just trying to pull out the Nasher and just head down straight into RushieZ, which isn't necessarily going to work because by the time they get there, they're already, you know, within chunkable distance. So, with that being said, Fury 1, I want to see more damage done, more team fire, and focus out individuals. RushieZ could be your first guy.
Look at this. Four players of Fury 1 on this one side of the map, and they've gone all in on trying to find those kills. Meanwhile, RushieZ, they've had the call-outs, Taylor. They know exactly what is going on. They've rotated around, and it reflects in the scoreline. They're all ready to go on the defense once more, but just in a different place. And now DeTox, a fantastic kill to start things off here over at the A-Hill. Meanwhile, he does lose a teammate elsewhere, but Fury 1, they're a bit in terms of chaos mode right now, Taylor. They don't know where to look. They don't know where to turn around. RushieZ are everywhere, reading them one step ahead at all times. And sadly for Fury 1, it's just a little bit too predictable.
Yeah, a bit of an overcommitment. I'm curious why they decided to send 4 players for C. Obviously, they've got the man advantage there, sure, but is it worth the commitment? Is it worth giving up a large portion of the map? I don't think it was, and we can see the effects of it already. INZEM keeping player 6 in check. Last knows that I might get pushed here. He's not going to, and that's really lucky from his perspective. But, I mean, RushieZ, they've got Fury 1 pincered in. By the time they get out of spawn, I mean, RushieZ knows it. RushieZ is going to be ready and set up to stop the push, counter this engagement. It's going to be a 3v3 onto A. Let's see if Fury 1 can do it.
Yeah, let's see. Time is not on this side. Ventry, you mentioned his KD earlier. He's 1-3 now as it stands. Difficult position. Aimboot already put a little bit red. This angle from Avexys tries a headshot people with the Boltark. A little bit of damage put his way, though. Aimboot has forced his way through now. Loads of numbers for Fury 1 to at least force their presence here on the A-Hill. Meanwhile, though, RushieZ, they read it, right? They are there. They rotated early. They're getting the B-Hill. Toxiq straight off spawn or straight around the back here. Find the kill on Avexys. They need to do a little bit more. They do need to gain some map presence eventually, Taylor, because they're just running with tail between the legs, and the points are not on their side.
Once again, they're forced to make a drastic recovery. They've pretty much got to push all hills. RushieZ knows the majority of the numbers from Fury 1 are on C. Aimboot had a lot of value with the Boltark in that spot. Unfortunately, he dies a little bit too early on. And Toby, RushieZ, they're going to lock in this round without question, even though it's 30 seconds, now cut down to 15 as they do officially capture C. Fury 1, they don't have what they need. They don't have the real estate anyways to be able to spread themselves out and really make this happen. Unless player 5 can maybe make a magical move onto B, that's going to be up to INZEM. Will INZEM allow it to happen? He will not, and the narrative will stay true. RushieZ will take round number 2. Going back to the point you made initially when we were watching RushieZ play on District, despite them losing, RushieZ, what are they doing? They're not making any flashy plays. They're not making any ego challenges. They're just playing, they're just good gears, good ABC's gears, and it's paying off. Fury 1 are the ones who are, forced to get desperate, forced to try and make miraculous plays. But RushieZ, I mean, they're standing strong. They're like an impenetrable force. You can't break them.
Yeah, I mean, at this point in time, I said predictable earlier, and I think it really is the point, the word to highlight here, because Fury 1, they continue to do that all or nothing strategy out of the initial, and it kind of just sets the entire pace for the rest of the round, because RushieZ, from then on, they gain the advantage by rotating for the next hill. You see it change immediately as the play is made. And then they just keep doing that over and over again. They wait for Fury 1 to make the next move, and then RushieZ just rotate and get the next point. They rotate and get the next point. And it remains to the end of the round. And Fury 1, they do need to change things up. Now, they've gone for a little bit more of an aggressive approach again with the 3 players on this side of the map, so they really do need to make this work now. RushieZ a little bit more split up, so this can work because they finally got those 2 kills without losing any players. Meanwhile, though, Ventry will be taken down on the other side. And looks like DeTox will have a little bit of competition here for the C-Hill. He'll be looking for his teammates if he can even get out alive. No, he cannot. So, all in all, quite a bit better from Fury 1 now.
A little bit better, but I mean, still not bad for RushieZ's perspective. Yeah, they've got the 2-1. They still have the point lead. You're right, though. Much better from Fury 1's perspective. But can they keep the ball going? I like the 3v1. INZEM, does he make a push here? Does he want to sacrifice his life? He doesn't. He wisely backs away. I like that. He's playing his life. RushieZ knows we don't have to push D. We'll allow Fury 1 to have that. We know they're going to push up onto A eventually, but we can take this opportunity to take a stab onto Charlie. That's exactly what they do. Here's that push onto A, which inevitably they knew Fury 1 was going to come through tank and try and get onto. So RushieZ is reading the situation very well. Now, just reading and executing it and finishing this fight is a totally different story. Can RushieZ Rise successfully defeat Aimboot and Ventry. Ventry by himself, he is going to get taken down, and there's going to be a nice two-piece from DeTox in conjunction with INZEM, and DeTox isn't done. He'll get a kill onto last move. Toby, Rise, they will lock in this round with the way of domination, and they will lead 3-0.
That's a little bit of spark that Rise can really activate at any time, deviate from the textbook just a little bit, and allow that raw skill to come on through to ensure they can pull back pretty much any round, right? And 3-0, despite Fury One's efforts at times, Rise are simply pulling away as they get more and more points and get plays just like that in these rounds. Now, power weapon time for me, Taylor. Honestly, I think it needs to come through. It needs to be used to force at least a safe 3v3, at least on one side of the map, because they can really benefit there. They can really perform, but instead, no, they're sticking with the same usual, you know, Vasgar. And the issue for Vasgar for Fury 1 is the fact that it is literally designed like a circle. You can just run around the map in response. Right. And so when Fury 1 go on one side of the circle, Rise will run on the other end and respond in kind very quickly indeed. So without any changes here, fundamentally, RushieZ as well getting that kill is huge too, because it really relies on the numbers, doesn't it? This Fury 1 strategy, and for them to be whittled down already at the first start, it really hurts them.
Well, hold up. Domination attempt will start to ring through. That makes this fight on C that much more important for Rise, which INZEM pressure, no worries. Cool, calm, and collected. He'll push up immediately and kill the suspense before really it even gets suspenseful. Rise, they have one hill, and they'll start to push out. Once again, a great start from Fury 1, kind of like last round. This time, they do have the point lead. It's honestly a rare sight, Toby. We haven't seen Fury 1 with the point lead in pretty much all 3 rounds.
That's the issue, though, for me. If you don't lose a player in a 3v1, with RushieZ somehow getting a kill in that situation, it would have been arguably a triple cap. They'd have held up close, wouldn't they? So just for Fury 1 to be so reckless, I guess, careless, to allow RushieZ to pull a kill out of nowhere in what is a pretty much unwinnable situation most of the time, or overwhelming majority of the time at least, or a miracle. It really goes to show Fury 1 have to be a little bit more dialed in. RushieZ getting the kill there onto him, and INZEM will fly out through the spawn. And despite the score lead that Fury 1 have built up, they're losing players across every area of the map.
Oh man, Aimboot in that moment didn't know who to fire at. Like, he was trying to pepper everybody, but he wasn't downing anybody. He wasn't killing anybody. First guy I would have focused on was RushieZ. In that corner, he had a perfect line of sight. RushieZ was totally distracted by the other F1 members who were just up above him. But meanwhile, Aimboot, again, he can't figure out who he wants to definitively shoot at, and therefore it allows Rise to push up confidently and ultimately take him down. Fury 1, they're in a frenzy. And just like I pointed out in their last Pro League matchup, again, they haven't changed the map. They're going for tit for tat for Rise, and nothing is working, but they refuse to change it. And even statistically, Avexys leading the charge, yes, but I mean, the assist across the board, even the kills to deaths in perspective to Fury 1. Rise are outclassing Fury 1 in every way. Finally, we see a change. A sniper on Heli. That's a bit awkward. You don't see that often whatsoever. Maybe frags or torpo up there, but never a sniper. But I mean, you're already losing 4-0. Why is the change just now coming in?
Yeah, confusing. I'd perhaps like to see a power weapon placement on tank, if anything, for this Fury 1 team. But hey, here we go. Aimboot has been able to snag that snipe, but there are casualties involved in that process. RushieZ will find 2 in total. Aimboot just trying to get out of there with those 6 shots in the snipe. FL captured, meanwhile, by the remaining Fury 1 player, but let's go down. He's going to get angled from the top if he does not move very, very soon. 5 shots remaining. He needs at least a check as DeTox is flying at him. Excellent trade for DeTox. That's the snipe out of action. RushieZ secret manning just behind, as he's known for since all the way back from the start of Gears 4. Not able to come on through, though. Last will respond, and despite, honestly, the really big effort for I'm okay. INZEM already getting to that action already. Yeah, FL being broken down. And a nice little score lead built up for Fury 1.
Yeah,
despite losing that snipe.
Yeah, really good score lead. Can they hold on to it? Can they hold on to it? That's the question. This is the biggest lead we've seen so far. Rise, though, are making some headway. By the way, INZEM was justified in that. I mean, Aimboot started it after all on Digital.
Revenge,
okay,
yeah.
So it's revenge. You know, INZEM's just giving it back. He's just in full side. What a throw from INZEM's perspective onto last move. That gives a chance for DeTox to push up. He's down, however. Fury 1, 10 toes down, Toby, holding it down. But objectively, losing the 2-1 hill advantage. Only for a short period of time. They will recover on F. Maybe Rise, the respawn's there and Fury 1 isn't pouncing quick enough. So no, they are going to fall back objectively.
RushieZ as well on his own over towards that E hill, trying to get out. He does. Aimboot hot on the heels. He needs to go now though, or he will get angled out. Does find RushieZ. Big kill. Now DeTox as well, not in a good position either. Trying to get away, in fact, not able to find it. Fury 1's score lead will continue to be had. They need this round. They cannot drop another one. And could this be the start of something special? The snipe up any second, I believe.
Said snipe up in any second. Fury 1 will secure it. Aimboot has it in his hands. Rise now in a position that Fury 1 has found themselves in the past 4 rounds. Forced to make a desperation push, forced to make a miraculous play, or else Fury 1 will finally win a round and better their performance by 100% from the last time they played on Vasgar during Pro League. Now 10 seconds away, and Rise will not be able to win this round, so well done. And there it is. An adjustment is made. A sniper is placed awkwardly up top. They win the sniper off the rip. They win the sniper off the second attempt. And they never give up the point lead, Toby. You got to question, why didn't they make this change earlier? If they even felt confident in it, if they felt like it could make a difference, why are we just not doing it when they're down 4-0? A large mountain to climb, but Fury 1 hopefully have their hiking shoes and they're ready to do it.
Yeah, and the fact is they probably don't need the hiking shoes as much as they once did because of that snipe actually going down, right? And for that to limit the amount of movement on the map, quite literally, and keep it to a very close team fight, deathball strategy from both teams to be employed, if you will, onto this E-hill for the snipe. Rise a little bit more cracked now, just as they should be on that side for the snipe pickup. But look how clean that was. But no downs coming on through, barely getting red. The DeTox, he picked that up. Fury now trying to retake, but RushieZ trying to secret man. He's not going to find it. Toxiq turns and burns him. Avexys, the last man alive. Look at this though. DeTox was down. He is taken out. The snipe is gone off the map completely. So Fury 1 this time. They also respond pretty well to the snipe pickup, but in fact they even get a little bit better than Rise. They get more points. They hold the caps, and now Fury on a very good position on Vasgar.
Rise ever so slowly encroaching onto F. Is going to be led by INZEM. DeTox, meanwhile, on the rotation to D, is going to catch one off guard. Aimboot, he's going to get pincered. He's down. And Rise might recover quite well, depending on how Avexys ends up finding this fight. But unfortunately, he will die off. RushieZ also gone. And the flash in the pan play from Rise, unfortunately, will fizzle out. And Fury 1 will recover quite well. Toxiq on your screen. He doesn't even go for the decap. Sees 2 and 3 there. You know, it's a smart play, a bit timid, but I mean, Fury 1 knows that, hey, we still have the 2-1 Toxiq. You don't have to stay put. You don't have to fend off against constant respawn after respawn after respawn of Rise. Fury 1's playing smart. I can't hate on it.
Yeah, and excuse me, the snipe is still on the map. Toxiq has it in his hand. 2 shots. Aimboot trying to just get him out there. Combat medic at bay to try and protect that weapon. Look at this angle from Ventry here, just over the top of that concrete. INZEM will come on through and find that kill. Aimboot, he ran in on his own. No shots remaining for Toxiq. Not in a good position at all. Score lead is currently in the hands of Fury 1, but Rise are moving up fast. DeTox getting pinched as well. Nice little down. I don't think Fury 1 are close enough really to get a revive there as such.
Fury 1, win condition still locked in. Will it change with the 2-1 for Rise? It will, but just barely on a knife's edge. Fury 1 can recover, and they're not going to be able to. I was thinking maybe on F, but they are quickly also losing Rise's home hill, and INZEM with the sniper is a scary sight. Fury 1 has fought very hard in round 6, but I don't know if they're going to be able to hold on. This might very well end 5-1. Just 30 or so seconds. Fury 1 mounting a push, a 3-man push, in fact. That's going to be a good body, followed up by a nice instant. There's a finish. And INZEM will back away. The hill will be broke, but Avexys isn't backing down. No, he continues to push forward. Stun's going to be out. Rise knows this is the hill to take the victory. All we have to do is win, and Avexys will take down 1. Now it's up to INZEM, and INZEM hits the shot, gets Avexys back into fight, but Toby! It's not enough. Fury 1 will actually close out the round. 4-2 is where the scoreline will be. And the comeback, I mean, it's coming back. It's happening.
It's happening. I mean, if you can win close rounds like that after so much effort from the opposition, I mean, what else can you do, right? And it's all started from that snipe placement, changing things up in a big, big way. Fury One, they've shown that they can, grab hold of the snipe. They can not get away with it, but still win the round in the end. And likewise, they can respond to a pickup on that side too. So strategy-wise, they are sticking with it. They haven't added any more power weapons, right? They're sticking to the usual meta of building up the secondaries. And so now they're going to have access to that snipe pickup once more. The question is, will RushieZ change things up? Will they be ready to respond in kind? They have a shot grenade and Incend at their arsenal now to counter that.
Right. Nice initial. DeTox first blood. Last is also down. DeTox sees the mark, sees the down. He capitalizes. Toxiq has to break up the stairs because he has no choice. Staying down low wasn't the play. And he will work out at least one elimination, but now he's about to get pincered in by 3 members of RushieZ. RushieZ will effectively take him down. So Sniper in DeTox's hand. The neutral of E has been secured. Now RushieZ has to focus their attention on collapsing in on another hill, and DeTox is, well, standing by himself, picks up a nice heady onto 1. Can he get the second last move? Not really wanting to tempt fate in this moment, Toby.
No, and I wouldn't chance it either. DeTox is doing so well this event so far, given it's their first game, their first match of the major. 15-12 currently sitting at, but certainly is all there in the shotgun department. And now, clearly, the snipe too. Scoreline fairly level as RushieZ will take the lead any second now. Look at this sightline from DeTox, just spotting the players out, calling where the players are coming off spawn. And it looks like they're all stacking up on the tank side here. Incend thrown in, not going to connect. But that first kill from INZEM will certainly keep Fury One right there, stopped in their tracks.
DeTox, he sees 2 in front. He's played his life so well off the rip. Can he get a cross-map snipe? He's obviously been spotted, but will he get challenged? He will. Toxiq will tempt fate once again. Sniper shot's going to be missed. Utility's going to be thrown. Meanwhile, in the tank fight, INZEM is going to be down and out, and player 3 of Avexys now has really the whole world against him. We transition back to DeTox, who's still in a standoff against Toxiq. All hills have been decapped. We finally see each roster getting a hill respectively. A chance for DeTox to capture E in front of Toxiq. That fight was stalemated so much, and Toxic's going to make a move over towards D, and it seems to be paying off so far.
I know, right? Toxiq gets the kill on the board against Avexys. RushieZ, can he clutch up in a numbers disadvantage situation? Again, no, he cannot. Score-wise, still RushieZ lead the way. DeTox still very much alive, has the presence on Vasgar waiting for the snipe to respawn, and he gets the ammo. It really goes to show how long he stayed alive and continued to play a really big impact on this side of Vasgar, keeping Fury One, if you will, focused on the other end of the map towards tank side. And now the score lead is going to lead to them winning off 1 if RushieZ can hold out and win this map.
Might be able to. Let's see if it works out. Fury One, they've got to make a move onto E. They're going to try from the top side. Avexys backing up. The shock is beautiful. The shock might stop Aimboot and co. in their tracks, but no, Aimboot's going to be by himself, but look at how RushieZ throws a perfect instant. But Toxiq, he's made a move. E might be decapped. DeTox gets the kill just in a nick of time, and Toby, RushieZ will hold on, and they will beat Fury One on Vasgar 5-2. Granted, a better performance than their last time they competed against each other on Vasgar in Pro League Day 7. That ended 5-0, this time 5-2, but a loss is a loss no matter which way you look at it. RushieZ will lead 2-1 over Fury One in the series, 1 map away from being victorious in their first match in the Spring Major.
That they are, and you see with the KDs as well reflect the ultimate scoreline in the end. Fury One not really starting off too strong, right, in that particular department, that slaying department, that mechanical department that they had been relying on in the previous 2 maps. Of course, we expected, right, that RushieZ would typically take this map, Taylor, I think it's safe to say. But it is worth saying that Fury One showed great potential there on Vasgar. They had, a little bit of a better performance than the Vasgar previously in their Pro League matchup. But perhaps a little bit too late there strategically, right? Perhaps they do need to we need to continue as we analyze this matchup between the 2 teams, continue to harp on the fact that just teamwork-wise, Fury One are being outclassed, and much of that is to do with a lack of flexibility and proactivity in their strategies to really go up against the juggernauts of RushieZ.
I just wish they would have placed a sniper early. I mean, it was competitive after the sniper was placed up top. It wasn't competitive when they were just going from, utility to retro to send a shock. Like, it wasn't competitive then. They were down 4-0 when they finally make a change. And when they make that change, hallelujah, they win 2 rounds in a row. Things look awesome for them. But again, their inability to make that change and their, just overall just ability to it way too late just ended up biting them in the butt, which is quite unfortunate. This Vasgar could have played a lot differently if they make the change early on. Now we're heading into Ritual Control. We talk about Control being great for Fury 1, Toby, and also great for RushieZ. So now RushieZ, this is where they get very deadly as far as I'm concerned, because now they have the map lead. They've won 2 maps in a row, and they do so in a pretty dominant fashion. Canals 6-2, Vasgar 5-2, and now they're going into a map of Ritual, which they are incredibly confident on. And also to mention, Fury 1 hasn't played RushieZ on this map just yet. So RushieZ should have a distinct advantage here. And I'm thinking they close the series out 3-1.
Yeah, you and me both. I really can't see Fury 1 bringing this back. I mean, you look at Ritual as a map in general, just as a structurally and strategically. We've seen a lot of aggressive teams really do their thing, right? Mechanically sound teams really perform on this map. Of course, E United is the main one from the previous split and major. Impeccable on that map against anyone they play against, right? But honestly, when you look back in terms of RushieZ and how they've been playing on this map, they've turned it around. Actually, they're not right. the team to rely on the mechanics and fast nature of their gameplay. They're actually 4-0 from what I've seen in the Pro League on this map, which is quite surprising, really, when you think back towards the teams that typically had a record like that on this map was literally E United and PK back in the last split. So RushieZ, they've certainly worked it out, this map, and despite that nature of Ritual, really tending towards the speed and the gameplay focused nature of mechanics that Fury 1 go to. Despite that, it's still it would have been a good opportunity before. I think RushieZ just have this unlocked though at this point.
Well, RushieZ has 4 distinct members that can all be deadly on Ritual, and that's why I think they are 4-0. That's why they haven't lost it, and they've been incredibly successful on Ritual, even against teams such as Pittsburgh Knights and E United, who were at one point, or at least last split, regarded as the best Ritual teams we had in the pro circuit. The reason why RushieZ is so good is, first and foremost, their initial usually off the first hill. I mean, they are so explosive. And what does that get them? Well, it gives them, first off, the momentum off the rip. It gives them the first and initial early points, but it also gives them that torque bow. And that torque bow is very deadly. Normally, DeTox is the guy with the torque bow, and he can make some great shots and good connections. One negative to that is if DeTox isn't connecting, or Torquebow in general isn't connecting for the RushieZ members, is they kind of put themselves on hold and they wait at times for an opening kill with the Torquebow for them to then say, okay, now it's time to finally push in. So that gives, maybe several seconds to 10 seconds to 20 seconds to the other team. And there's also no guarantee that once you do have that delayed push finally come through, it doesn't guarantee you success on the hill. You're not able to retake it. So for RushieZ, I want to see them put less emphasis on the torque bow and be more confident in their gun skill and their gun ability, which we've already seen be accentuated, tenfold over the course of this series in general. So, but RushieZ, again, even boiling down to RushieZ, how many times, Toby, have you seen RushieZ hide in the shadows and disrupt the push? He does it so consistently, and he alone is incredibly scary on Ritual.
Yeah, I mentioned it on Vasgar. RushieZ is almost like the inventor of the Secret Man in ways, because he was the one who really pushed it to the front and center of broadcasts, even back on Gears 4 with the majors starting up on the pro circuit start. And he was just known for Secret Manning and really finding those really intelligent but sneaky positions to get the numbers advantage through literally just sitting behind a corner and waiting, reading where the team is going to go. Ritual is one of those maps where you can do that, right, on the pillars and stuff. Yes, it's annoying to play against and can be quite controversial at times as well, because it's something we're not as much used to in Gears Esports. I guess we are literally used to it now, but back in the day we weren't, because we were used to execution and kind of knowing where everyone was at all times and knowing where they rotated to. With the advent of course, Escalation, that did change with respawns coming in. But hey, he definitely leverages that. He leverages a lot in terms of his skill. We saw that earlier with an amazing 3-piece on District that we absolutely loved casting over. And I think Ritual is perhaps a map where he and the rest of RushieZ can really show that they are not only just a team about teamwork and relying on those initials, but individually, shotgun-wise, and the power from play that you alluded to earlier. Yeah, hey, maybe they can just show that off now and really finish off the series with a bang and a 3-1 victory over Fury 1.
So another member of Avexys, I mean, he's been incredible throughout really all of Split 3. You know, speaking of which, you know, 3 members of RushieZ, everybody except DeTox, and it's nothing against DeTox, but Avexys, RushieZ, and INZEM have all at one point received Player of the Week, the Astro Player of the Week, because of how good they play throughout Split 3. You know, and that to me is pretty incredible. You know, we all vote on it and we say, you know, these guys are the best, and RushieZ has consistently been the best. But Avexys on Ritual can be very scary. Powers is kind of the same way on a United. Like, that man can absolutely slay out Toby. But I've seen Avexys go like 25 and 11 and then 25 assists. So 25 kills, 11 deaths, 25 assists, and nearly 30k damage. Like, that's the kind of stats he can put up on Ritual. So you combine that with RushieZ, who can be very disorienting for the enemy team because you don't know where he's at times. You know, you couple that with Avexys getting so much damage, a ton of kills, and able to penetrate hills. INZEM just being nasty. Like, that's just what he does, right? And then you have DeTox, who's consistently peppering players nonstop, but also popping off. We've seen him pop off this entire series. You even pointed on Vasgar about how deadly he is. This RushieZ roster is not easy to beat on Ritual, but the reality for Fury 1, Toby, is they have to beat them here to force a map number 5 Clocktower execution. Can they do it? Fury 1 fans, send them your energy. Let's load in to map number 4, and let's see how this starts off. I expect RushieZ to win a dominant initial.
Yeah, that's the important part, is that initial, of course. Fury 1 have been relying on that for a very, very long time, not only in this event, but also just in general, strategically. That mechanical skill needs to come into its own. Ritual, historically, is a map that really can offer that to teams. Let's see if they can take advantage.
An opening start. We are going to see a bit of a stalemate. Aimboot's going to make the first move. RushieZ is down. Nobody can get him back up for RushieZ's perspective. Aimboot can continue to pepper shot after shot. That's 2 down. He'll now be on the backside of RushieZ, going for a team ace. He won't get it, but he's fine with that. What a dominant start. What I thought would be a dominant start for RushieZ, as it typically is. They're going to have to settle for nades. Meanwhile, Fury 1, they're happy. They get the bulk of the points. They keep RushieZ at 2, and they get Ventry with the torque bow. And already sends one flying, doesn't make a connection. RushieZ, they're back on the attack. Let's see if Fury 1 can win the second push from RushieZ.
Yeah, they've given themselves the best opportunity now going forward, Taylor. Torque bow in hand as well. Ventry might get caught out. Nope, he is not going to be today. Catches Avexys there with the torque bow. Second shot across the way, not going to connect. Does it even need to, though? So hopefully for Fury 1, they'd be screaming no deaths at this point, because they are flawless so far, and they can keep that numbers advantage going forward. Look at that, 0-2, all players to RushieZ, and we're only just on that first hill. Question is, 15 seconds to go, how's the rotation looking? RushieZ will be immediately setting up for that next hill one way or another. They know exactly where the hill is going to be. Looks like Fury 1 is still trying to find out what their plan is, what their plan of attack is. Ventry's gone all the way around the corner of the other end of the map. I think he has one torque bow left. Yes, he does.
Has to use it appropriately. Don't send that flying unless you know you're going to be able to line up a shot. While on the opposite side, we are going to see a bit of a standoff. Aimboot now last alive, last falls as well. So that's going to be a solid win on the top. You clear that out. You know at this point Fury 1 is a mismantle. Toxiq will also die. So that duo up top, who is it? It's RushieZ and Avexys effectively put themselves in 3 distinct 1v1s. Fury 1, I talked about the individuality on District, and we did see that from time to time. They obviously lock in the map. Good teamwork was needed for that. But in that moment, last move is caught out by himself, and then that's followed up by, I believe, Aimboot shortly after, and then Toxiq with the mismantle. You gotta buddy up. You have to come in this as a full force unit. You need to do what you're doing now, a 3v1. Look how it pays off.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Fury 1 were caught out positionally earlier and took a little bit too long for Ventry to go around and, split up and kind of execute what is essentially a pinch at the end of the day. Torque bow, though, in the hands of Avexys. Ventry just lurking to the side. Nice down on DeTox. The nades are gone off the map for now. And INZEM will be cancelled out also. There's Avexys now, quickly rotating that torque bow to the same side we saw earlier from Ventry. But with numbers advantage for Fury 1 without a hill to their name, given that we're on a rotation right now for the next one. Can they utilize that? Seems like they can, as they get some snowballed kills on the way.
DeTox down. Aimboot might be able to get picked up. Ventry is sprinting. He will get it. I love that Fury 1 wins this bottom end. This is the side you want to be at when you are defending against a counter push. And obviously, RushieZ, they're going to have a tough task at hand. I like that they split up 2-2. They'll keep DeTox and Avexys up top. Meanwhile, they'll send RushieZ and INZEM down low. And I do believe nades were picked up. I'll double check. And they were not. So fair enough. RushieZ won't have those. But still, though, splitting up 2-2 allows them to be able to pincer the hill as opposed to just headbutting straight into Aimboot, Toxiq, and Ventry, which might not find you success. We've seen time in and time out that doesn't. A lot of time has passed, though. Nearly 30 seconds, and RushieZ has yet to make a push for the hill. They're waiting for really the fights on the top or the bottom end to conclude, but they're not. And I mean, when they finally make a move, Fury 1 holds their ground. Flawless hold from Fury 1's perspective.
Yeah, and last was the play. Yes, he was positioned all the way back in the spawn, but he could have gone further. Instead, he finally drew the line on the battlefield and said, hey, you're going to have to approach me. I'm holding my ground. And eventually, RushieZ did push on both sides, and they lost. The mechanical skill has paid off for Fury 1, and it reflects in the scoreline now here on Ritual as they look to extend a little bit that positional advantage, right? And they look to get that rotation on the go for the next hill. And again, Taylor, they are snowballing the kills.
They are. Fury 1 is on fire. Honestly, I did not expect this off the rip. I hyped up RushieZ, and for good reason. Historically, they're great on Ritual, but right now they're taking the back seat. And Ventry, he's 3-1, 11 assists. This man, maximum value, not only with the torque, but with that shot on DeTox, but also with his life in general. And, well, that's one member out now. You can push through confidently knowing that it's going to be a bit of a mismatch, a 4v3. Make that a 4v4. DeTox will join it eventually. The Fury 1, they're in the hill. Aimboot, he's going to sneak those nades away. Ventry at the forefront. He needs to preserve his life with the torque bow, but hey, Nasher out. He's got the confidence, Toby, and he's trying to slay out. He'll reposition with the torque. Can he make a connection? Splash damage down low. Hey, we'll see you later for the second time. DeTox, Avexys might fall. Fury 1 is flawless.
Ventry on fire, almost finding that last kill as well as a player slid straight into his cover. It looks like RushieZ have just about recovered now after what was a flurry of kills there from the Fury 1 squad, but what a stick to start that off earlier. I'm not sure if you heard my reaction regarding Ventry's stick. That was really something. And now it seems like the confidence presenting itself. The skill we know Fury 1 are capable of. Meanwhile, RushieZ, they are seemingly turning it around. DeTox with a double to his name. 30 seconds left on this hill. Rotation will start very soon, but again, just cast your eyes to the top left, folks. It might shock you. Fury 1 have a pretty big score lead, and they are maintaining it for the most part. They do need to finish off the map, though, and start with just exactly this form.
I think it's time to give it up. Go to next hill if you can, but Fury 1, resilient as ever. They're going to push up, and I guess you could afford this because RushieZ are still here in full force. Nice kill from Aimboot, not enough though to finish it off, and RushieZ will find a lot more success on this hill, Toby, than I was expecting, especially off of what we were seeing from Ventry and co at the initial start, right? But RushieZ, they recovered quite well. Great composure as we honestly expect from RushieZ in general. New hill's up. RushieZ, they have the early real estate there. They could catch up easily. And you mentioned Fury 1. They've got to keep this intensity up through and through. I don't think they're tapering off, but I mean, RushieZ is keeping it competitive without question.
They are. They brought down what was a 60, 70 point lead now, only to a 20 point lead, essentially. Have RushieZ. They got the rotation off for this next one. DeTox with a double. INZEM with a kill off screen, bringing Toxiq down just to his own devices, and that torpedo is gone. It was on the back of Toxiq, but now it is out of play, and DeTox pick up that kill. INZEM with frags to his name. Score lead to RushieZ already now, looking set up.
And we'll push up with his teammates. Nate's out. This could really hurt Fury 1 quite a bit, but he puts them away. He wants to preserve them. Finally takes one out, takes the second. He'll pick up one. He'll pick up two. And the double back. INZEM, by design, knew exactly what he was doing in that moment. RushieZ not only have caught up, but also taken about a 22-point lead. Good on them for doing so. The rotation is in play. And once again, we're going to see RushieZ potentially set up a little bit earlier than that of Fury 1. But Fury 1, they're not far behind. They can absolutely break this hill. It's going to be a skirmish, and it looks as if Fury 1 are going to prioritize the top end. You think maybe for Torquebo, but Torquebo doesn't come up for another 30 seconds. So for player 3 Ventry, I think he's just wanting to work his way down and maybe flank RushieZ, but it's going to take a long time to do that. You just got to push this hill.
Focal point definitely on Fury 1 now to try and get back to the gameplay that we saw around 2 minutes or a minute ago before RushieZ really started recovering so well. There we go. Last will come straight on through and find Avexys on his last down. The remaining kills are in front, but DeTox again is pulling kills out of the bag in very difficult scenarios. It gets a second as well. Ventry trying to close the gap around the back, but no, not going to happen. DeTox just keeps getting these important kills for me, Taylor. You know, just in the middle of the team fights, Fury 1, they have the numbers advantage. They arguably have the positional advantage at times, but DeTox just continually just is being that thorn in the side of Fury 1's battleship going on through. And wow, for them to just turn it around, DeTox in particular, in the way that they have, has been truly incredible. And with 30 seconds left in this hill, they'll be breaking the 200 mark.
That's what makes RushieZ so scary. I mean, you know, I mentioned Avexys, RushieZ, INZEM at one point or another getting Player of the Week presented by Astro. And, you know, for DeTox, he wasn't there. Has he been impactful? 100%. Has he been the stat leader? No. But, I mean, this series alone, he's, you know, from time in and time again, we've been seeing him pick up the most impactful kills at times. I love that. I really do. DeTox might be an understated player on RushieZ at times. We don't talk about him that much, or at least we haven't in Split 3, but make no mistake about it, the guy's deadly, without question. And he can slay out with the best of them, even though sometimes he takes a back seat in the stats and, you know, chooses to play more of a support role. We're back at the hill. Aimboot, ability in hand. He's going to make sure he puts it on the ground in time. He's going to take down RushieZ. New hill's back into play. Fury 1 looking to catch up, and they can. They've got a lot of real estate on this hill.
Yeah, they just need to stop at least the RushieZ streak right now in terms of the points here on control. Aimboot has to be careful. He doesn't get literally 1v2'd here. He will roll off early. Toxiq was actually to his right, but he's going to get taken down, caught out without any cover to his name. Ventry trying to push up, but no, RushieZ, their War Machine continues to push on forward without any deaths. RushieZ are just keeping their composure held high, and now they are thriving off the streak, off the intensity and they're producing in their gameplay. Fury 1 all spawning together towards the left-hand side. Look where RushieZ are, Taylor. Immediately rotating all the way to the end of the map to hold them on that line on the battlefield. And they're doing it so well. No deaths. Fury 1 have next to no cover. Toxiq has got it down. Can they clean up, though? It's important. Last will find one. The second down just to his right. Can he find the third? No, he cannot. Nonetheless, 20 seconds left in this hill, Taylor. The damage is done here. RushieZ now have the huge score lead themselves.
One thing that I love about what RushieZ does in control is they know where to focus, their pressure. And in that case, when they push over to the left of this hill, they focus in on the choke points where they know Fury 1 is going to be pushing through. And they're narrow. They really are. You saw RushieZ set up just where Ventry is about to be. By doing so, it makes clearing that corner very awkward because RushieZ is already pre-firing it with his Nasher. He's already going for the chunks. Doing plays like that, like really accentuate why RushieZ is so good on control, and they're smart. I mean, they know where to put their numbers and when to do it, and that makes them so effective. Things could get scary for Fury 1 if they lose this hill pretty quickly. But if they do hold on to it and they get even close to tying this thing up or maybe taking a minor lead against RushieZ, we're back at it where it's anybody's ball game. But they really do have to stop RushieZ from getting in this hill. This is the hill that could very well swing the pace back into RushieZ's favor, or maybe towards 300, or could put Fury 1 in the grave. And it looks like RushieZ is making great headway.
Look at this approach so from RushieZ. Fury 1, they have a torpo. They have 4 players here, but they will completely just put out of place. Thankfully for them, Ventry has got a stick on Avexys. The chain revives did come on through quick enough. DeTox trying to pick up that gear, but will not find it. RushieZ, in fact, will give DeTox there. And it looks like Fury 1 finally will have a successful defense for what seems like the first time in an eternity here on Ritual. They have finally broken that 300 mark. Ventry out of Torquewell ammo. And now a little bit of a pause as Aimboot is the one, the secret man, but he has been spotted. INZEM just to his left as Avexys lances on through. Last is here though, right round the back. There are downs. Hasn't cleaned up. Aimboot will find it. Ventry threw himself across the map there. Straight off the camera change. He must have sprinted as Aimboot picked up the 2. Now they are positioned for the next hill.
Well done, Aimboot. Those are the plays that can swing the momentum back into your favor. Fury 1 just narrowly trailing behind that of RushieZ. RushieZ, though, they've got the bottom end, and I talked about it a little bit earlier, how difficult it is to push through this choke points against RushieZ, but more importantly against any team when they have position on the hill. RushieZ being very aggressive, not allowing Fury One to even catch their breath, Toby. I mean, look at how aggressive RushieZ is being. In fact, sending every player off the hill. They're prioritizing the kills, and they will be successful. This hill could be quite devastating for Fury One, and Avexys with the torque bow, need I say more, that's going to hurt.
It absolutely is. So much went into that push from Fury One, right across Ritual. They haven't got anything back. RushieZ continue to respond so well in these difficult moments. 3 shots in the torque bow for Avexys to really take advantage of here during this rotation. He will stick 1, almost getting the double as Toxiq was very closely positioned to him. Toxiq surely will fall nonetheless as the RushieZ play does continue on the way through, and it looks like they can in fact win off this hill, just about. Now let's see, can Fury One keep themselves in this match with another successful push, or can Avexys get another stick?
All right, now close to victory is RushieZ. Fury One, they are on their last leg. They have to push in and do it confidently. Avexys, though, will send it on the ground. That might end up with 2. That's going to be 1. But either way, for Fury One, they can't stop. They must continue to push forward. They've got to bleed this hill just a couple of more seconds to guarantee another hill of play. But did they do it? 11 seconds. No, they didn't. Enough time for RushieZ to win off of this hill. Fury One, they've got to sprint. Toxiq is there, but he's too far away. And Toby, it will be RushieZ winning map number 4. What? There it is. Yo, why did it get that exciting? But 300 to 211 is where it will end. And RushieZ fans, you can breathe a sigh of relief. Bleach, you can get your soup because RushieZ have finished off the series 3-1. An excellent fight from Fury One's perspective, but Toby, it wasn't enough.
It was not enough. You know, we kind of had that anticipation going into this series that it could have been a 3-2, as the analysts predicted. Instead, it was a 3-1, just as we saw in their Pro League match on day number 7. And the storyline is business as usual, I think, for RushieZ in terms of their maps, right? Ritual, they're known to be very good at, and Control in general. They lost the first map, but despite Fury One's efforts at times with their mechanical skill, to use that term once more, it was not enough for Fury One to really fight that and change the status quo. RushieZ, they really just played by the book at the end of the day, right? They didn't need to do anything too special. Of course, we highlighted DeTox as an individual there, especially on that map, just pulling kills in difficult situations where you really shouldn't be able to. But also just general mistakes as well from Fury One, you might argue, as a team. Think back to Vasgar. RushieZ been able to pick up a kill in a 1v3 situation. We saw plenty of situations like that. And despite those sparks, that energy from Fury One at times, from the likes of Ventry, from the likes of Last, I guess it just wasn't enough.
Wasn't, but I think Fury One still showed us a lot. I mean, that was an incredible series from their perspective, minus Vasgar, where they made the change of sniper up top a bit too late, as far as I'm concerned. That's something they definitely need to, reassess moving forward. Go back to the drawing board on that. Canals 6-2, tough to beat Avexys there. I mean, the stat leader 11-2, but I think Fury One still showed a lot of strength. Maybe they make it out of their group. I hope they do, especially after witnessing what I just saw. But for RushieZ, they showed fantastic strength throughout this series, and I know our analysts have to break it down. Toby, well done for the cast. We'll be back again, but analysts, let's talk about it. RushieZ, Fury One. RushieZ get a 3-1 victory. Break it down for me.
Thanks so much, gentlemen, and great job kicking off the Gears Spring Major Fallout here alongside RushieZ and Ryan Fools to break down that first matchup. And boys, clearly your top-tier analyst, when you literally called almost exactly what would happen. Control looked so much better for the Fury One squad, but ultimately they couldn't get it done on Escalation and Execution, Ribs.
Yeah, great call, by the way, Toby, and of course, Taylor. And we're off to the races. First match in the books. And yeah, can I just go home now? I mean, I called it 3-1. It was a 3-1. We thought they might even be able to force a map 5 by winning that last map Ritual. They almost did. But yeah, good showing from Fury One. But it's just the same thing we saw in Pro League. They're able to win the first map, not only against RushieZ, but against a lot of our top teams. They win that first map Control, a lot of the times District, sometimes Regency, and then they kind of just fizzle out. So, I mean, it's definitely a good sign to be able to win those maps. You do get 2 controls if you can win that first one, but you got to learn how to win on Escalation and definitely learn how to win on Execution.
Yeah, I'd love to see a stat if possible, like how many times Fury One has gone up 1-0 in a series between sort of this last Pro League split and like the last major, because I can't tell you how many times I'll see like Fury One United, Fury One up 1-0, Fury One versus PK, Fury One up 1-0. They do a very good job of getting out early and getting that first map win. It's kind of those, second, third, fourth maps that usually get away from them.
Their ability to finish is kind of the key there, and you saw it. Same exact story in this one. On Escalation, obviously a game type that is so incredibly strong for RushieZ. They looked great, but of course it all came down to this map number 4, and like you said earlier, Ribs, Fury almost stuck it to it, almost forced a game 5.
Yeah, they started off the first 3 team fights not allowing one single kill coming out of any of the members of RushieZ. We pulled up the stats, we saw all donuts, and I was like, okay, this looks good for Fury 1. We might get to that Clocktower. We saw great plays from Ventry, last move. I mean, these guys are fun to watch. They have all the skill in the world, but like I said, you could sometimes tell that they're missing callouts, or they're not on the same page. Their coordination isn't there, because we kind of see them fall apart, and then once momentum switches to their opponents, they're not good at regaining that control. So, you know, they should know what they have to work on. This is still pool play. For our first match of the day, though, pretty competitive, pretty entertaining. I'm excited to see where RushieZ moves forward. I mean, they don't look amazing, but then again, it's in the afternoon. It's kind of early for these guys to be playing. I expect big things from RushieZ throughout the rest of today.
Yeah, that's a great point. And you two are definitely familiar with pool play and the fact that sometimes it can be a bit of a snooze fest. 3-0, 3-0, 3-0. However, what a match to start things off. 3-1, Fury 1. Showing some really, really strong prowess, some close games there, obviously on control. And in my eyes, on that map number 4, Ryan, I don't know if you caught it, the turning point was actually a little bit of a misplay. Ventry was popping off with Torque, got 3-4 kills, picked up another kill, and then got someone full red before finally getting killed. And his teammate picks up a meat shield and completely just whiffs a melee. One member of RushieZ is able to survive there, and that was really a big turning point in my eyes, Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, those are the plays sometimes, right, that can switch a map over for good or bad, right? They're in a situation where they have the opportunity to make things happen, to push for a potential game number 5. You can see what one little misplay can do, and especially when you're playing against a team like RushieZ. A team like RushieZ will capitalize on that mistake better than so many other teams. Keep in mind, this is our number 1 seed heading into the tournament, so those are the plays you have to make, especially when you're in that underdog situation, right? You have to seize the moment. You have to take control of every advantage you have. If you don't, that number 1 seed, they're going to take it from you.
Yeah, and if you're RushieZ, maybe you like the fact that you got challenged in that first game. It's going to wake you up a little bit, maybe give you some good practice here to get into tournament form. But speaking of which, let's take a look at the results from round 1 of the tournament so far here in pool play. RushieZ 3-1, Defiant 3-1, struggling a little bit against MC, but overall looking good in the grand scheme of things. Pittsburgh Knights handles their business, and Rebel handles their business. 3-0 win for Rebel as well, Ribs.
Yeah, I mean, this is cut and dry. I mean, no map 5s yet. All of our teams that were favored to win won, so nothing to write home about just yet, but it's early on. We get that first upset. I mean, in these Gears majors, we've been getting that first upset pretty early on in the weekend, so we're going to have to keep an eye out for that first big bracket buster type of upset. So far, so good, though, for a lot of these top teams.
That Deviants versus MC match was very, very close. We were in the observer room checking it out. I think the escalation went all the way down to the final round. The execution went all the way down to the final round.
Wow.
So that was a couple rounds away from looking like a potentially different result, but of course the vets do get that one done. But keep an eye on those boys in MC.
Yep, definitely have to keep an eye out. Interesting things so far here for the Gears Spring Major. We, of course, have United coming up next. We know they're a fan favorite. You have a chance to watch Powers Dyslexic, the one sole Mexican or Latam player playing on the United squad, go up live against the Young Guns and Hive that I know Ryan was maybe a little bullish on potentially playing Bracket Buster or upset Dark Horse, if you will. I'm excited for that one. Of course, that one's right around the corner. We're going to do the pre-show in just a moment. However, we did have a chance for Taylor to catch up with Dyslexic from United. Let's take a look.